Oh, okay. Hopefully this works. We'll see how this goes. Maybe I get myself a little more headroom. Ah, don't like that. It's a weird angle. The God, the great. I am not that. Let me know though if you can hear me. I haven't live streamed in like almost a year. Not from a lack of wanting to, but mostly I've been traveling a lot, so I want to get live streams back in. So I wanted to go into kind of the cameras of 2024 that I got to try out. Some of my favorites, some of my not so favorites, and I guess this is a part where I'll answer like Q&As and stuff. But okay, all right, there we go. This is pretty good. I didn't prompt anybody for this, so this is going to be kind of weird. So I'm going to let people file in. Hang on one second. I'm going to do a little Instagram story. My videos got you to get the C80. How do you like the C80? Let me know how that goes because I only got it for like 4 days. Like they sent it to my house on one day, and like 3 days later, like, hey, run it back. And I wish, I kind of wish I had it for longer. Yep. So triple base ISO and Corvington. I think we're the only two people in here right now because I didn't say pretty much anything. Actually, there's 10 people here. I could see that. That's kind of cool. Um, yeah, I didn't do a lot. Like I did some testing against the FX6. I have that footage. It's just kind of chilling on my hard drive. I haven't had enough to make a full video. So hopefully I'll do that next year as long as they let me borrow it again. Sammy in the chat, what's going on? Yeah, this is just like an impromptu video. We're talking about cameras in 2024 I got to test and things I like. I'm going to try to make an Instagram story right now because I didn't prepare for this at all. Like I have a list written down, but I also didn't like say much about doing anything else. So I'm going to do that right now. Today we're doing a little bit of a live stream. I don't feel like making a video for New Year's Eve, so we're going to be doing this instead. Hopefully that plays. And then I'm going to post this up. So, we'll see who comes into the chat. What are cameras, actually, since you guys are here, what are cameras that you are like you looking to buy if they exist in 2025, but also ones you might end up kind of letting go of? Because I have a couple that like I think are coming out, and I have a couple that I'm like, you know what? Like I could live if I sell that. FX6 Mark II. I could say it right now. If there is an FX6 Mark II, I'll be the first in line. I will fight people to be the first in line for the FX6 Mark II. FX3 Mark II, I don't know so much. Like I feel like I don't think there's anything in an FX3 Mark II if an FX6 Mark II comes out at the same time, which is probably before it. I don't think there's anything that would make me like choose one or the other. I think I would just choose the FX6 Mark II and then just kind of keep it and then use the hybrid cameras that have come out in the last like year or so. Hey Komodo, FX3 or red Komodo, think of upgrading my FX3 to one. Depends on what you shoot, man. Like if you like autofocus and you like things being easy, I would just stay with the FX3. Like if the stuff that you're doing doesn't warrant it, I wouldn't bother. But if like also obviously there's image quality differences, so I would say like go for it if you are willing to take on red Komodo responsibilities. Sold my FX3 for the Komodo X and regretted it almost instantly. Tanner, that sounds terrible. I think so the OG Komodo, I had a rental exchange for it for the FX6 like 2 years ago. And it was great image, but like you have to be able to be like really okay with like having crew and like doing the other stuff and like working slower. Which, speaking of working slower, I will give you a preview of a video that's coming out tomorrow because there's a camera on my desk that is unlikely, that I don't think people expected to see from myself. But yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But it does have to do with a lot with working slower. Maximilian says the A7S 4. Max, I got a question for you. The A7S 4, like why the A7S 4 and not the FX3 2 if there was one, assuming that like the sensors are going to kind of be the same. Blackmagic 6K full frame has been hands down my favorite with 12-bit color and astounding image. So this time, around this time, exactly last year, Blackmagic just dropped the camera at the house without really any sort of like rhyme or reason. And I took it to Africa with me and stuff like that. And I used it for a couple of projects. That image was crazy. Like truthfully, the only thing I really needed it to do, like the thing I needed the most to do, was to kind of like have a better form factor. And then the Pixels came out and I'm like, cool. Everything I wanted from like an image quality standpoint was in that sensor. It just didn't have the form factor. Hey, yo, Simeon. Just so you know, a lot of my videos in January are gonna have a lot to do with like freelance business and stuff. I'm gonna do it like every January. I'll have like 6 or 7 videos, and it's based on like your lives and like how you do your content. And I'll talk like freelancer stuff, mostly because like past those 6 or 7 videos, like everything else I'm gonna do is essentially gonna be the same thing over and over again. But I'm gonna put a little bit about like that stuff. It'll be like camera contextual still, but like you could apply it to anything. So like one of the videos are like 10 ways you can make money back when you buy the Pixis. Realistically, you could apply that to any camera, but I'm gonna try to do a couple of those. My freelance is like 25% now. Like I would say YouTube is like 75 and probably getting to 80 or even 100 in the next year. So we'll see how that goes. Also, my nose is stuffed. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say a deviated septum. I think mine's just abandoned me. But yeah, me sniffing sucks. FX30. You guys know me. I used it until like I didn't change the actual grip paint to like I did on the FX6, but I used that a ton. I didn't buy any new cameras, but very tempted. I had sold a camera in 2021 and then bought it again. And I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. And I'll be realistic with you guys. Like when you're doing this kind of YouTube thing, one of the things that happens is you get like access to everything, whether or not it's cameras that are given to you or cameras you can borrow all the time. And I always misjudge the scale of how big that actually is. So, for example, my kit would have been like an FX6, an FX30, A7 IV, and that would get you through most things. And then even like now, I think it'll still get you through a lot of stuff. But when you get access to like almost everything, what you keep for yourself starts to change because you're like, well, do I need to keep 3 cameras if I could rent any one of them from any brand at any given time for the jobs that I do have? And then should I just like keep a singular camera to make content with and then just kind of rent everything else? Kind of like when DPs don't own RE cameras, they just rent whatever they want. It's kind of the same thing. And like that's kind of where things are shifting into. So I feel great for you that you you didn't buy anything and you feel tempted. But yeah, like it's a super weird thing now going from like freelancing a ton like from 2 years ago to now like I don't know what to buy because there's a chance that you can borrow it for long enough that like you kind of get your fill, or sometimes truthfully it's just kind of given to you on exchange, which is weird. It's not often, but it happens, and when it does you're like, what do I do now? I bought an FX30 right before 2024 and it's been a great camera. I still think FX30 in terms of APS-C cameras for video, still goated. I'm still going to put it up there. Preston, what up? Preston's a proud member of the I guess is it the Element Alliance or is it Lumix Gang? I don't know. Since Big Cook switched cameras, I don't know if I want to call it Lumix Gang anymore. Because I feel like it's not doing it justice anymore. Is this still a gang? Is it a gang if the leader leaves? Keep a decent camera and rent the high end for jobs that have worked the best for me. Straight up, like even now though, that's always been consistent. Like I don't own a Komodo X mostly because I could just rent it. And when I bought it, rental shops didn't have it. So it made sense to buy one myself. But now, even for like creating content, even those cameras, I'm like, well, why don't I just rent or borrow seemingly all of them? And that's kind of a weird one. Uh, how are you enjoying the point and shoot life? Point and shoot. I don't know if you're talking to me. I have a decent camera. I just rent the lenses. I want to keep range. Yeah, see, and rent the look. Yeah, there's four of us in Lumix. I mean, fair enough. Wait, so Preston, who do you think is the next leader of Lumix Gang? I think that's going to be the question. Simeon, I did get a Fuji camera. You spoiled the surprise, but the Fuji camera, it's not a point and shoot. This is the GFX 50R, mostly because from Fuji Canada, I borrowed the GFX Mark II like 3 separate times for like 2 months apiece, and I really liked that camera. I just didn't have like $7,000 US, which is like 10K Canadian, to buy that in the 55 millimeter. And I'm like, well, what's the cheapest entry into the GFX line that I could like work my way up into maybe buying the 100 to? And the 50R, like the 50R with the 50 millimeter lens, grip, and 2 batteries, I think it was a little bit less than buying like a ZVE1. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna purchase that. It's almost irresponsible for me not to. Also, I spilt Mio on my hand, but yeah, so that's what I ended up getting that for. So it was damn near irresponsible to not get it. And I've been using it for the last little bit. I have a video coming out tomorrow. I just have to put in a little ad integration because you got to pay our bills. But yeah, I picked it up for a steal, and I think Fuji, from what I heard, they are going to work on a like a medium format point and shoot. Who knows if it's going to come out or when? Also, who knows what the price is? And I'm sure it's going to be more money than what I got. But point and shoot life is really good. Wish I had a rental shop near me. Closest one is in Denver, about an hour and a half drive. Yeah, see, like that's the part, like the hard part with like the buying versus renting thing. Like in Toronto, especially in the West End, there's like six. There's like six rental shops within 15 minutes. Like if I need to rent a red Komodo, a Raptor, a Venice, I think OC down the street has Ari Alexas. Like you can rent pretty much anything. So it makes owning a camera seem like it makes less and less sense. And currently in the house, if I'm counting, so the S5 2X right now is the live stream camera, and my GFX 50R right here. Pixis is behind me. FX3 is in the living room. The Lumix S9 is somewhere in the house. And then because you guys are on the live stream and I tell you guys stuff, I may have 2 Nikons coming. Actually, for sure I have 2 Nikons coming. I signed that. And yeah, there's way too many cameras in my house. And like when it all kind of boils down, I'm like, well, I only have 2 hands and 1 set of eyes. So it's kind of a difference of situation. So I'm gonna get the FX6, then I got Cine back for the FX30. I think Caleb Pike knocked it out of the park with Cine back. I'm kind of frustrated that other companies have kind of just stolen the idea. But I do think it's a really good way to kind of beef up your camera, especially if you have a small camera, because at the end of the day, they're just sensors, and what you attach them to is whatever your needs are. That's a whole lot of Lumix. You and Cam are honorary members as much as you use them. Truthfully, yeah, that's fair. Like I would say, this year in particular, I think it was like it's also the first year I've used like Lumix cameras in any serious way. I've used them more than I think I've used anything else, but I think that's also because of that like 75-25 split between freelance and YouTube. So like when I'm freelancing, I'll use Sony every single time. I don't necessarily think I'll use Lumix cameras on like a pro job. And I'll just kind of go to a Sony FX6 or an FX3 and I'll do like the Cine back thing with it. But with Lumix, in terms of like content creation and stuff, I can do that all day long. Like I don't care about rolling shutter if I'm making like Instagram reels and stuff. I don't care about like not having a viewfinder when I'm getting thumbnails. So there's stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, like for video, especially for like content creators, I think I mentioned this in Matt's podcast. If they just decided like, hey, we're going to really own that segment of the market, I think they have something going for them. Yeah, an FX. Yeah, the FX3 I think is still like if you're a freelancing video person, I don't know for price to size to flexibility if you can beat the FX3. Like it's really really hard to do. Like you have to spend a lot of money to get to that point. But Sony made a really good camera when they did it that way when they made the FX3. I want to have an FX6 and a C80 as my B cam. I don't know if that's faux pas. I mean, like, it is kind of like having Nike shoes and Adidas socks, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, I don't think your clients are going to notice or care. And like, that's the thing too. Like, again, I might even get to the whole topic, which is cameras 2024. But like, there's cameras you get because your clients require it or you need it for client work, and then there's like cameras you get because you want them and you'll make it work in certain situations. I think for using two different systems as an A and B would only be faux pas if like, or truthfully, when you have to deal with two different lens systems, and it's not like Canon allows people to make third party RF lenses at full frame that have autofocus, so you have to worry about those things. I'm so sorry, guys. Like my nose is all kinds of screwed up, so God bless. Okay, so I'm gonna try going through some of the what lens would you recommend for the FX3 for a first time filmmaker? One that zoom get the longest zoom from wide to telephoto at the cheapest price you could possibly get. I had like a thing on my face. It's just hair. Yeah, get the widest zoom range you can get from wide to the telephoto at the lowest aperture at the cheapest price, which I'm not super caught up. I think that's like the Tamron. Do they have a 24 to 70? Someone answer if they have a 24 to 70. I actually don't know if they do. But if they do have that's the one. Get that thing if you're starting out. Also, starting out filmmaking on an FX3 is crazy work. That's an expensive camera to start with, but hey, run them likes up. Anyways, most so I made like a really short list of like cameras of 2024. This list was made 3 minutes before I started this live stream. I just felt like living today, but we're gonna go with my most used camera. This is for client work. A lot of the heavy lifting on YouTube, especially before any of the Lumix cameras made it into my house, is the Sony FX3. Now, that shouldn't surprise a lot of people. I've used Sony FX line cameras for a long time, but truthfully, for the FX3, in terms of being able to like, you have so many lenses for E mount. Like now, there's camera lens brands that sometimes only make E mount lenses first. Like the world's your oyster in terms of using the FX3. Then you also have the ability between like using Cineback and the audio top handle and rigging it up. You could still do a lot with that sensor. And also, when you don't feel like doing any of that, like it just breaks down to the size of a mirrorless camera. Like the FX3, keep in mind, this GFX 50R doesn't do good video at all. The FX3 is smaller than this and it's a smaller package. So if you want to do video, there's this. I would also say second place of the most used camera, I think, in terms of YouTube, by far, is a Lumix S9. Get out your pitchforks. But yeah, no, I've used the Lumix S9 for most things, including doing a lot of like vertical content brand deals. And the reason why is because it's so easy to use, you can directly transfer things to your phone. Where if I do have something for like Artlist or even when I got the camera, I think it was Nomadic, doing stuff for them, it was so easy just to like put it on a proper camera and a lens, still get a full frame sensor, and then just drop it on my phone with a LED attached to it. And I think the Canadians say Bob's your uncle, and then you're able to work with that. Camera I didn't like testing. This is one out of all the cameras that I've used, and I've used more than a few, to be honest, was the Sony Burano. Like, and I think it's because it wasn't for me. And I think the whole launch of the Burano was an invitation to a party that we all didn't get. So if I'm like a Netflix guy or I shoot sports, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the NFL's tech sponsor is Sony. So all of the stuff you're watching in the NFL is Sony. That's where it would apply. But because I'm not part of that Netflix sports broadcast, that kind of thing, it was fun to use camera. Image quality is great. I didn't have a problem with the rolling shutter. Like it is rolling shutter there, but like I wouldn't care. I wouldn't lose sleep over it. Also, because like the Pixis readout's kind of the same. But yeah, it was like it wasn't a camera that was for me. So when I was testing it, they only gave me a couple days to do it in the winter time of all times. It was great, but I didn't care. And I think it works really well for the people that it applies to. It's just I'm not one of those people. All right, Tanner. See you later. Again, this is just like a drop-in stream because I'm bored. Honestly, I'm bored, and I had a video scheduled today, and I decided I'm just going to put it out tomorrow. Toronto really doesn't make sense for most. Price is too high. It's like the KX and the Pixis. Yeah. So Preston, to that point, like the Brano doesn't make sense for like most people that consume YouTube content. Like the Brano's just not talking to you. But I will say some of my friends that were CSC, which is kind of like the ASC but in Canada, um, one of the things like they love the Brano because it works so well for like those Netflix TV shows, and those guys make tons of money. So I could see where Sony's like, okay, well, we'll get to our hybrids later. You guys can wait. Let me make the specialized camera for this segment. I think what ends up happening though is like some cameras when like content creators like myself get a hold of it, the expectation when you see that content creator talk about anything is like through the frame of mind of where they are, if that makes any sense. And I think that was partially the reason why people got really up in arms about the Lumix S9. The camera just like wasn't for the people that you would get the information about the camera from, if that makes any sense. If you had like a bunch of like camera ops from like Love is Blind or anything like that, I think you would have a different conversation. But also I've seen some really good documentary work on there too. I think my buddy, actually for sure, my buddy Lamar, who actually I think lives in Denver, he's premiering his doc next month when I'm in Louisiana. Then he shot it on the Brano and it looks great and it worked great for him. Do you think one should wait for the FX3 Mark II or buy the Mark I? I think if you are in need of a camera today, just spend the money. And if you need a camera today, the money that you spent and the money that you'll lose when you sell it, hopefully is made up from the jobs that you needed the camera for in the first place. I hope that makes sense. Because waiting for a camera that we actually don't know if it exists will drive you insane. I think so many people are waiting for this FX3 Mark II. Without getting my own self in trouble, I wouldn't hold my breath. That's all. I wouldn't hold, like, I wouldn't make significant business decisions in waiting for that camera, because also we still have to get an FX9, an FX6, something else that's going to be maybe new. Things are going to come out before the FX3 Mark II. I wouldn't hold your breath waiting for it. What video games are you playing? Bro, I have been so bad at video games. Like, I got a Nintendo Switch this year for my birthday. Actually, Janelle, when did I get the Switch? So I got it for my birthday 2 years ago. And I started playing Pokemon Violet. I have 4 badges and I haven't touched it since. So I want to start playing video games again. I haven't. And I probably want to try doing that a little bit more in the future. So in terms of video games I'm playing right now, it was Pokemon Violet, but I haven't played anything else since. Although I heard we might be getting some cooking game for Nintendo Switch. Figured I was a Zelda guy. So I'm not a Zelda guy, but Final Fantasy? Chale, don't get me started. Final Fantasy. Bro, just watch a podcast with Paul W. and your batch process inspiring. 2025 is all about 100 videos for me. Thanks. Marco, I will say, putting out 100 videos on YouTube, not for the week, but as like if you have a plan, honestly, it's so much easier. Like if you plan things out in advance, it's not that bad, because when you break it down, you like, and truthfully, get a 100-lined piece of paper and start just writing stuff. And the only time you cross something out is if the 2 ideas you have are the exact same idea. You'll be fine. And if I could give any piece of advice, like quite literally, it's like going to the gym. Like, just go train and then worry about it in a couple months. And as long as it's consistent around like your messaging and what you want to do with stuff, honestly, for me personally, compared to anything else, YouTube's not the most complicated thing in the world. So 2025 Sony's coming out swinging. I don't know if 2025 Sony's doing anything. Like, I had a conversation with one of the marketing reps in Canada, and he made a really good point. Mind you, that didn't confirm or deny anything for me, but it was the idea that Sony has always kind of been the trendsetter in terms of hybrid cameras and also some of the cinema line stuff. And they've been kind of like setting the tone for so long. They've already set the tone already, and everything else that's come out after it has been a response to what they came out with. So why would they need to chase the person that's chasing them? If that makes any sense. So like in a practical situation, like realistically, the Z6 III came out. Um, you're not leaving your FX3 for the Z6 III because it doesn't have the ecosystem. And until Nikon decides, like, hey, I'm going to come out with like 75 Z lenses that are all going to be super, like super bespoke to whatever you have, I don't necessarily feel a need to switch over until any system does that. Like Canon shot themselves in the foot; they had a chance to do it that way. Nikon has great stuff; they don't have a giant lens selection. Um, that kind of thing, like it'd be really hard to make that transition, right? So I think for Sony, like, do they have to come out with something every time someone else does? I don't think so. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second because attention span is awful. Also, because I'm trying to read two things at the same time. Why don't you make more videos about fitness videos and commercials you make? Would love to see your content on that. Peraz, that is actually coming up in January. A couple of videos kind of got thrown down the drain. Truthfully, because some of these videos were sponsored, and then those sponsors kind of had a weird thing where that they're not sponsors anymore, and I didn't know what to do with the video, so some of them got scrapped or reshot. But the cook video, if you've seen that one, that was a fitness commercial. That still kind of keeps me up at night because I didn't, as a video production person, company, whatever, I got what I wanted. I made the client happy. I got my money. As a creative person, it'll keep me up at night because some things went wrong. So it'll be an interesting BTS video. But going into 2025, actually, it's great you asked this question. But in going to 2025, I think I'm going to lean a little bit more into the fitness stuff. I think I didn't, mostly because being in your own head and kind of being in the space, like you kind of drink the Kool-Aid of like what real filmmaking is, and then you stop talking about that work because you kind of are trying to appease this group of people that don't care. But then also it's something that you're good at, so I'm just going to stick to what I'm good at and stop trying to like impress other filmmakers on the platform, if that makes any sense. But short answer, there will be a lot more. Why are you guys looking forward to the Mark IIs for the FX3 and 6? The current iterations are good enough. I agree with you. I think what's happening now, though, is that some of the tech has changed enough where the demands are getting increased. So, for example, this is someone who's used the FX3 and 6 for like since launch day, really. And back then, like affordable cinema lenses were only D-Cido and like I think Miike at the time. Blazar never existed, so like getting those kind of affordable anamorphics that looked great, that were compact, and like those kind of things, like those didn't exist when the FX3 and 6 came out. So what I think has happened now is that like as supporting technologies have come out, the cameras that came out before that couldn't account for those things. So now you're like, oh, I want to use open gate on my new Blazar Remus lenses, but I don't want to switch systems to be able to use the full resolution. Where's my open gate on the FX3? I think that's kind of what has happened a little bit. So I think when people are kind of excited, they're excited to use some of the new tech that's come out on some of the new things that have come out. Yeah, like hopefully the Pixis has V mounts, even Komodo learned. I think it probably will, but also keep in mind, like, say the Pixis does that, like, say they do have that. Is that not just kind of the Ursa 12K with a full frame sensor? Like, I think it might just be the Ursa Mini because I don't think they have the Ursa 12K, the Ursa 17, the Pixis. I don't think it's going to be a Pixis Pro. I think it's just going to be the Ursa 12, the Ursa Mini. SL Magic, so SL Magic did have affordable anamorphic lenses. For me, I didn't like them. I feel like a few people weren't big fans, but and because there wasn't like there's that many options, and I don't know, like you couldn't get. I guess there wasn't just an amount of like a buzz around affordable anamorphics at the time. So that's where I'm coming from. But anyways, you are definitely right. SLR Magic did have affordable anamorphic lenses, but I think if I remember correctly, they were still way more expensive than Blazars were now. What does the FX3 really need? Yeah, honestly, I was waiting for the FX3 Mark One to get cheaper than the Mark II release. Truthfully, and like, I have no problem if they don't come out with one for a little bit, but the pricing of them, I'm like, I wouldn't mind having an FX6 if it was cheaper. I don't know what I would do with it. There's so many cameras around, but like, I don't mind if it was, maybe it was like $5,000 and like the FX3 was like 2,800. I wouldn't mind that. I just want to be able to use my Fuji MK lenses and 4K on the FX6. I actually have not used Fujinon lenses on an FX6. I think that's what you're talking about, but I'm not too sure. What's your most pleasurable set / project you've been on in 2024? Oh, okay. Sorry, I read that wrong, Rob. And I was like, "What just got asked of me?" Um, I That's a tough one because there's a few that I've been like. It's probably going to be the creator productions. I did like cam mopping on No Good Legend, mostly because I was afraid of Ari cameras. And I like went out of my way to learn how to use them before I got there, so I didn't embarrass myself. So that was just like it was nice because a I prefer camera operating than like being in the G&E team, and B, I felt like a sense of accomplishment because you didn't know how to do something and then you went out and learned and then you actually got to do the thing and it worked out really well. Because you might have got it. Sorry, I read that like singular word by singular word, looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, what?" A Rokinon Z Lens Cinema Prime's still good in 2024. I think so. It's more so is the price to the what you get out of the image um advantageous. And like for me personally, like no shame in my game, like I've used digital lenses pretty much since they came out, and now they're sponsors of the channel as well. I would say I like DZO film lenses as my spherical lens of choice. Obviously, short of like getting to like Cooks and stuff like that, because using those Cook SP3s were really nice. But I think you'll still be fine with the Rokinon lenses. I don't remember. I'm not familiar with the character you get out of them, but like truthfully, I think you'll be fine. Did you feel kind of restricted using bigger RE cameras, especially with supporting gear as opposed to lighter cameras? Yeah, definitely. But I think what like when you're cam opping on like a bigger camera and a bigger setup, you you kind of like know what it is, and you're kind of like you're already prepped for how you want to shoot something, if that makes any sense. So, for example, like if I'm gonna go on a set with like an Ursa 12K or the Sony Venice, like 95% of the time the shoots are kind of pre-planned, so the support gear for it is already kind of predetermined. So yes, you're restricted where you can't just rip the Ari off the easy rig and then shoot like a handheld cowboy, but also the shots that you're getting according to like what the DP and the director want don't necessarily need you to do that anyways. So yes, you're restricted, but generally speaking, like a lot of things with like narrative, which I have not spent a lot of time doing narrative, like those things are already kind of pre-planned. B-sides, what up? Yeah, you're tuning into this very impromptu live. There's only like 26 people here, which is actually quite fine. I'm fine with that. That means there's less chance of craziness. Sir, what kind of music have you been listening to and what new music are you into? I got to catch up on a lot of Kendrick. I'm a big Kendrick fan, although I'm from Toronto, which sometimes feels like you're cheating on your own city. Um I got into J-pop quite a bit. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I watch a ton of anime, and I don't know if anyone's been watching Dandadan, but the intro for Dandadan is fire. Like, I will. That's one of the few theme songs that I just put on Spotify, play around my house, and then just walk around the house playing the theme song to Dandadan, and it pisses off everybody in the house because it's hilarious. Um, but yeah, no, I want to get back into listening to a lot more Kendrick, but I've been pretty much binging J-pop anime intros. Not each fan of anime, but getting my wife into watching Avatar as a start. Preston, don't say that to real anime fans because they will yell at you about whether or not Avatar: The Last Airbender is a real anime. My interpretation is that it has a beach episode, so therefore it counts. Dude, Dandadan's the best. One of the few animes I actually watched the intro. The Yeah, there's say so I would say in terms of intros you can't skip. Demon Slayer season 1, Jujutsu Kaisen, the last intro they just did, Dandadan, Thousand Year Blood War, any of them. But yeah, no, there's a ton of like just if you guys haven't seen it, watch. Are you going to Kendrick's concert in Toronto? Kendrick has a concert in Toronto? Wait, Rob, Kendrick has a concert in Toronto? I didn't know that. I didn't know that till just now. So, I mean, if it's when I'm here, like I'm not opposed to it. Oh, I know Dragon Ball Z was my ish growing up. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z's fire. He's playing the Blue Jay Stadium, like the Rogers Center. Is it called the Rogers Center? Yeah, it used to be called the Sky Dome. I don't know what it's called now. I'm pretty sure it's Rogers Center. Um, but yeah, if depending on when it is, if anyone finds out the day for it, like you might see me get tickets live. Back on this list though, camera I wanted to buy slash try. I'm gonna be so real with you. The Ursa 12K, like from the readout to the fact that I already like Black Magic images, it's already kind of the size of an Arri Alexa Mini, anyways. But it's cheaper than the Sony Burano by like $7,000. If I had the DP work this year that warranted me getting a bigger camera, I think I would push a lot of my gear to getting the Ursa 12K. The LF, if I remember correctly, we use the LF. The Ursa 12K is like differently shaped, but like it's around the same size of camera. It's definitely not the Venice. The Venice is the Venice 1 with the raw module is the heaviest camera I've ever operated on. That put me out for 3 days because I didn't use an easy rig. But there's a 12K is like it's a pretty big camera. Like it's a beefy camera. Most exciting release, and I'm being objective about this one, despite that I have not reviewed it or even used it, to be honest with you. The Nikon Z6 III. And mostly because I watched some of the work that was getting put on them, and it was really, really good. Like for a camera company that kind of got poo-pooed on for years about like not catching up with video, to come out with a Z6 III at the price that it is. And Nikon, like, mind you, should they make smaller lenses because Z-mounts are smaller, like Z-mount cameras are smaller? Yes. But they still make amazing glass. So in terms of camera releases, in terms of like what they could come up with, I do think that's probably the most exciting one because it signals a lot of things. And I think a lot of other camera companies are going to try to answer to that going forward. Oh, okay. So Perez, which filmmaking YouTuber channels are you following these days? Like outside of my own friends, which is tough because like most of them I'm already friends with, so that's kind of a tough one. Um, I usually won't skip a week without watching a Big Cook video. Like I listen to like he's not on the stream. If you guys don't follow or watch Big Cook, I think you should do yourself a favor. And it's not necessarily for like filmmaking advice and stuff. Like he's just telling you his life, and it's really, really interesting, and it's really dope. And yeah, he's just it kind of gives you that sense of at the end of the day, all of us creators are people. But yeah, no, love Big Cook stuff. I think he's more photo or maybe more video. Thomas McClure, I think he's Scottish or Irish, smaller creator. Like a lot of the guys I watch, like I watch more um vloggers and content creators on YouTube that are like under 10,000 subscribers than I think I do that are over. I think it's Thomas McClure. Really nice dude. I think he does a lot of like APS-C stuff with the A6700, the ZVE10. And just like I just like watching chill guys and girls. Who else is in there? I got to go back to my own history and I'm going to like take a look and like who did I watch today? Because outside of supporting my friends on YouTube, I kind of don't watch a lot of filmmaking channels. Homeboy Brandon Talbot, he's getting back in his camera channel. Like again, that's one of my friends. This is really tough because I watch my friends. Short answer, I watch my friends. And I watch Preston stuff and I watch Simeon stuff because they are in the chat. So I watch a bunch of their stuff as well. So yeah, that's what I watch. And I feel like What's interesting now is that, I guess, the creators that had been very frequent during like 2019 to like even last year, not they're not as present anymore, which kind of leaves the door open for content creators like myself and pretty much like everybody else that pops up currently on your feed all the time to kind of take up a little bit more space. And that's where I'm even starting to see even some of the smaller creators that are starting out. And I don't like calling them smaller creators, even people with lesser, like with smaller audiences growing really, really fast. I think it's because that space has kind of been opened up, which is really cool. And also, I think, and being from Toronto, like you get the advantage of like because you know everybody, like everyone's kind of gravitated to be like the Toronto crew of people. I think that sense of community is a lot more global now than it was outside of Toronto, Ontario. Keeping in mind, like also as many creators that live in Toronto, like I don't know all of them. Hollywood camera work. Ooh, okay. I have not heard of. I haven't even heard of Hollywood camera work. Let me just. I can't share screens, so Hollywood camera work. It's not showing up. It's actually just showing up as like something else. Rob, if you can, like if you could throw like can you throw links in the chat? I have no idea if you can do that, but if you can, that'd be dope. But yeah, I think what ends up happening, I like with watching filmmaking channels and like actively kind of being in the thing is kind of the same as I don't know if anyone played sports, but I think when I played college ball, like I watched college ball a lot less because I was playing the thing. So when I'm done doing the thing, watching more things about doing the thing doesn't become as frequent, which has sort of happened a little bit. I'm gonna purchase the FX30 this year, so that's the best camera 2024 for me. Perfect, because that camera is still, I would still say, in terms of like low key, in terms of cameras that have like changed how people are going to do things going forward from manufacturers and also perception of other creators. I think the FX30 is the close. The FX3 and the FX30 are kind of tied for the closest to being able to change how like camera companies are going to start making cameras and also how creators actually start looking at their cameras as well. Because the FX3 did it with putting so much in a small body. The 30 did it by making it half the price, and the only difference is making it APS-C and like a half a stop less of dynamic range. Ooh, don't lukewarm take. I'm gonna hear this one out. Why do you hate the FX30? And do you own lights? Two questions because one may very much correlate to the other. Do you own lights, and why do you hate the FX30? Or reverse those questions. Uh, hey, we got Cam Mackey in the chat. You know what that means? We got Shill Team 6 out here. The commander and chief of Shill Team 6, Cameron Mackey, in the building. I'm actually going to see Cam next week. I'm going to Vegas in literally 7 days. And Cam, I'm going to bug you about some things in a little bit after the stream because we got our first physical product jumping out. And because I'm going to see you, I might have to, say some things. Can't post a link in chat. Rob, send it to me on IG. I hope, like, if you have me on IG, it's just I am Kofi Yeboah. Just like DM that to me. CES, Preston. I am going to CES. Are y'all going to CES? Probably a better question. I don't know if I'll be at the expo proper. Like I'm going for some other things, business wise. But yeah, so I will be in Vegas for technically that. NAB is a vibe. I highly recommend it. Nothing bad has ever come from going to NAB. Yes, I like the form factor of the FX30 image that comes out of the FX30 is just meh and noisy, almost too noisy for me. Main camera too. Oh, well, that's why. Like if your main camera is the Mavo. Oh, Ben, this is stupid. Okay. Your display picture is different than it is on Threads and Instagram. I'm okay. Yeah, the LLF is good compared to the FX30. That's not fair. So that makes sense. Shout out to Pretty Boy Cam. What's your wish list on L-mount cameras next year? Not just cameras, but also features that you're looking forward to. I would love if they made like so. Sony made a kind of a series of like smaller, more compact lenses. Like they're 28, I think it's like a 24, sorry, a 24, 5, 4, or something like that, a 50 millimeter and a 40 millimeter, like the really small compact lenses for E mount. I would love to see, because Lumix has the S9, to kind of move in that direction to just make smaller lenses for the L mount to fit the ecosystem of the camera they already made. I think that's going to start to help people out a little bit in buying to the ecosystem. In terms of cameras, I'll say it 100 times until I'm blue in the face. We want the S1H Mark II. I think across the board, everyone has kind of been wondering for Lumix to kind of release um updated cameras. I think it's been a few years. Like it's been an uncomfortable amount of time, and things have happened since then where I think it's even as somebody who hasn't used Lumix that much, it's time for an upgrade. Um am I lip syncing? I don't know. Greg, that might I don't know if that's just you. I have no idea if that's just you. I'm not too sure. It might be. Um yeah, not just cameras, but also features. Also features like faster readout, like literally faster readout, smaller lenses, actually release cameras. There's not a lot of things that like, and the hard part is with Lumix is that they have so many things packed into their cameras, but also at the same time, like it kind of feels like no one cares, which is really weird. Like it's this thing, 6K open gate, 420, which I mean, in a situation like this, it's not that big of a deal. Um, has anamorphic support, best IBIS in the game. Like it has so many things, but up until like a little bit ago, it didn't bother me. Like it didn't sway me to any which direction. Right? I was like, that's cool. Let me use my FX3. So it is a weird thing, but hopefully, if I think just give us the S1H Mark II, or the S1R as well. Like just update all the stuff that you have, and I think at least there's a little bit more conversation. That is the S52X that I'm on, Sir Benjamin. Matt, love. Matt, I have a C80 and you're going to love it. Oh, Matt, are you getting a C80? I wish I had a longer time with that, man. Like I only had it for 4 days. We shot a spec commercial on it and I used it kind of like in conjunction with the full frame 6K, but I wish I had more time with it to kind of flesh things out a little bit more, but it did look really good. What's Big Cook's handle on YouTube? I tried finding him and found a cooking show. I literally think it's just Big Cook. Like I think that's um I think it's Corvington. I think it's just Big Cook, unless he changed it recently, which like kind of would make sense considering he was a hardcore Lumix and he got something else, which I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to ruin it. I'm going to let him put out his video. The IBIS alone is why I'm starting with Lumix. My gimbal has been on the shelf since the OG S5. I I agree, but also car mounting stuff super hard to do without a gimbal and like attaching to something. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Big Cook Films is the link. But yeah, no, in terms of gimbal, like in terms of stabilization out of Lumix, handheld, it's absolutely nuts. And I wish they would use that handheld, like I wish they would use that stabilization in other cameras, like a S1H Mark II that would have a little bit of a boxy shape, but you know, you can't have everything. But yeah, it looks great. One man band can't shoot. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, like the FX30, I think like you'll get a lot of noise if you're not using a lot of light. For me personally, like I'm one of those crazy people that'll bring like a bunch of lights that are too many for one person, just because I wanted to make the most out of the sensor, and I used it for quite a long time. But I would still say maybe focus on lighting, and the FX30 becomes a lot more of an enjoyable experience. Do you like Panasonic box iterations like the BG1H version of the same features? I don't like them for how they are right now. I like the concept that they have. I just wish that they put the updated sensors in that concept. So from a form factor perspective, absolutely. Like give me a tiny little cube and I can do whatever I want to it. Perfect, no problem. Just also maybe update the sensor, please. I'm ordering a C80 through work so that we have a non-Sony option to play with. Hey, Matt, if it ain't your money, spend it. It's not yours. It's the company's. It's yours. It's not yours. Don't worry about it. It's not your wallet. Least exciting camera release of 2024. Again, this is kind of like halfway the same logic as the Burano, Sony A1 Mark II. And this is because I wasn't a Sony A1 person either. So when the Mark II came out, I'm like, great. I'm still not buying it. It is quite literally Sony's best camera. And I think where people might be a little bit disgruntled, especially when it like in terms of like open gate and stuff like that. To be fair, camera development takes about like 3 years. And this kind of goes back into the idea of like a lot of the things in terms of like a bunch of anamorphic lenses that were like really good, performed well, and were cheap. There was just the SLR magic. So the demand for having those features and that support just didn't exist because at the time nobody cared. You start developing this A1 II, and then somewhere through this development, they're like, hey, we're gonna release all of the anamorphic lenses under the sun. And the people that are already using the A1 aren't using anamorphic lenses like that on the A1, then there's no need to fix that thing. But like they fixed all the gripes people did have, like with the screen. They want a better autofocus. They wanted all those other things that were inside the camera. So I think they developed the camera fixing those things, and then new demands came up halfway through it. I'm not going to scrap the production of that camera to start all over again to only run into the same problem because maybe people don't care about anamorphic lenses in 2.5 years, except for Cam. And then the demands are different. Then you have to redevelop another camera to kind of keep up with modern things. But keep in mind, like camera development's like a 3 to 4 year process. I want a Panasonic GXX rangefinder style. Does those exist? Is that before I say anything, is a rangefinder Panasonic a thing? A couple of work I've been and shoot with the Burano, and no one complained about the rolling shutter. I don't know, but it was all reason. Yeah, the rolling shutter thing, like, and again, this is coming from someone who had the Komodo X for a while. I could understand not liking the rolling shutter if the things that you're doing require you to have global shutter or a fast readout. But for the like, when I audit even my own behavior, where are most of my things? The camera movements are there, but they're planned out and they're a little bit smaller. They're not me swinging the camera around like a crazy person. Cam, I can't tease this product yet because it's not in my house. I checked my mail. It's literally just gotten out of truck. But yeah, like the rolling shutter thing, I think if you need your camera to not have rolling shutter, you already know who you are. Past that, being upset about it when like most of people are going to shoot corporate interviews where rolling shutter is not going to matter that much. And also like DaVinci Resolve has anti-flicker in it. Like you could work your way around those things for a much cheaper price. I think rolling shutter just became the thing. It became like the moving of the goalpost, right? Like next year it's going to be open gate and anamorphic support, and rolling shutter was just this year's version of it. Hang on a second. There is a lot of messages here. Dude, I don't have it yet. So the product I don't have yet. It's not here yet. I just got off the call like 2 hours ago. Yeah, 2 hours ago. So it should be at my house by the time I go to CES. So you guys won't see it until probably the video comes out, which is January 21st. Don't know, whoever claims about rolling shutter just shows that you're an amateur. Not once have I been. Yeah, like again, if you have a production that needs global shutter, there's a red elephant in the room that you guys can pick every single time. Outside of that, it's still nice to have rolling shutter, even in like small handheld situations. And I would be a liar to say that it isn't a nice thing to do. However, using the Pixis since I got it, I haven't lost sleep not having global shutter. Oh, okay. Sorry, Kofi. I want to get the Blue Yeti power station, so I hook up my 600D, a couple lights when I work outside to go to places that I don't have accessible. Is it a good buy? I like the Blue Yeti quite a bit. In terms of when my car got broken into, that was one of the things they stole, and I was really, really, really mad about it. As long as I think at full power, that 600D will last you about just under 2 hours, I believe, if you're using it on its own. So you can actually totally do that if you wanted to. I would recommend maybe getting a bigger one if you're going to use a 600D, and just keep in mind how much power output you're going to be taking out of that guy when you're using it. But also make sure it's make sure your total wattage is under 1800 watts at a time. So that's like three 600Ds, technically, assuming they're all 600 and they're all at full power. Give the people they want. I can't yet. Like, sorry, I'm reading this backwards, but yeah, I can. The G9X was the last and end of it. Hope the S9. Oh, hopefully S9 no, but no viewfinder. Oh, okay, okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, I mean, like if the S9 had a viewfinder, like a range style viewfinder, I think we would have very different conversations about it. I might have not bought this GFX 50R if it did, but yeah, who knows? I think what happens now is that like Lumix put it out there. Obviously, some people were happy about it and some people weren't. But I think that's an opportunity for Lumix to say, like, okay, what are the actual consumers asking for? And if we deliver on what they're asking for today, will it actually translate into sales later on? But I still think the S9 is a great camera. But I truthfully didn't know that Lumix had a rangefinder. Oh, we got our first super chat of the day. I totally forgot you can get super chats. I only give them. Happy New Year, fam. Looking forward to your secret product, the new vids. Cheers to 2025. Preston, you have to understand, you got to keep putting up videos, my dude. I watched your S9 video and I can't remember, I don't even remember like how I came across it. And there's very few times where I'll watch people that are like a few videos into YouTube and like you could tell that that person's going to do really well with it. You're one of those guys. So thank you for that and keep making videos. But yes, also there's a ton of new stuff coming out. I clicked something and now I don't know what I did. Oh, Greg, my wife watching the TV with me. Kofi seems like such a nice guy. I said from when I met him at the Sony event at TMU, he's like that in person. Thank you. And thank you for saying that so other people could read it because some people think that I don't actually sound like this in real life. I do use big words. I sound exactly the same. And I'm technically taller than how tall you think I am, which was a thing that people told me at the Sony event. I'm not that tall. But anyway, what non-film based podcast do you listen to? I don't know why I feel like Big Kof and Cam listen to Collar Daddy podcasts on their off time or en route to set. Nah, man, I listen to a ton of shits and gigs. I don't think you guys understand how much I listen to those guys, controversy aside. Uh, which oddly enough, the next podcast I listen to the most is probably Flagrant 2, which if you guys know, you know. But yeah, shits and gigs, 1000% most listened to. I think if I was to calculate the watch hours that I have on YouTube, it's mostly shits and gigs. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna go back into this list of camera stuff because there's only like four of them left. Favorite are ooh, Cam Mack with a super chat. Team Chill, any big YouTube plans for 2025? I think there's a couple things. Like I think one of the things I've come to terms with is that when I played college ball and I was powerlifting and I was competitive bodybuilding, there was a certain shape that I had and I liked a lot. I think as part of YouTube, like I think I'm going to add in some of the health aspects of things. Maybe it's not going to be the whole video, but I think I'm going to start to add those things in and add in like parts of my life. Um, I think realistically, my big plan is to, keep doing what I'm doing, putting more of the resources from sponsorships into projects and traveling a whole lot. I haven't told you guys where I'm traveling to, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But there's a lot of travel happening where like I don't know where how I present as a filmmaker kind of shows up because I'm not going to be home so much. Hey, what up? Ray Edwin's in the building. Um Looking for 2025 uploads. This is the first year where like I don't have a plan. That's a lie. There are things that I'm doing, but I haven't planned things out nearly as far as I have previous years, and I'm gonna try to ride that wave a little bit. The UK Mandem, yeah, nice. You done know. That was a little bit of Toronto. Anyways, favorite lenses of 2024: DZO Arliss primes, and they're big, they're super fast. They still give you a lot of sharpness with that kind of like DZO charm to them. I would say in terms of spherical lenses, like if I'm on a set where things are a little bit slower, I could shoot on Easy Rig or Sticks or Dana Dolly. I really do like using these lenses. I think they're a lot of fun and they look quite good. And they're not super expensive compared to some of the other lenses at like that image quality. Like I use the what are the Tokina Vista Primes, and for the price differential in terms of the look differential, the Arliss Prime shouldn't be that cheap compared to the Vista Primes for like and look that good. So that's what made them kind of like my favorite lenses of 2024. I still got like I bought a set of Blaze Remus lenses. They're like right over there, and I got to use them a little bit more. I think I've used and borrowed Cam and Armando's Blazer lenses more than I've used the set that I bought myself. Scotty, happy New Year, man. Um, what do you think about the Athenas? Athenas are kind of Athenas are very much like the Arliss Primes, but cheaper, smaller, and sharper, if that makes any sense. Like it has less characteristic to it, so it's a little bit more clinical. But I would say like if you're good at color grading and you got a good filtration on it, like you could probably get a really good look out of the Athenas. I used that for wasn't a music video, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier in the video. But instead of doing music videos, what we were doing was we were doing like Spotify social content for artists because the ROI was a little bit higher, and we used it for that, and it was perfect. And also, if you're using the Focus Pro, all the lenses are already preset, so like you don't have to go through all the calibration, or at least not as long. So that kind of helps as well. Okay, talk a little about the new agency. Who are you with, and what are you accomplishing in the agency that aren't already doing yourself? So, agency is creator, and that's more so for the brand deal side of YouTube, not necessarily um, production work. Although there are times where we have creator films where I will be working in a different role, whether it be a cam op or a DP or a key grip or anything like that. So it's kind of a little bit of both. But for the creator side and the brand deals, like how that's changed is like I don't have to scour around for contacts for stuff. And that's been pretty much since like 18,000 subscribers. So like very, very early on, someone like having representation that's reaching out to some of the brand contacts that I don't have to look for. And you trade the 15% obviously for that. But if I had to kind of figure out who those people were on my own, I don't think I would get quite the results that I'm looking for. So it made more sense for me to sign with an agency to do that. Did you tell anyone that you use the word now word a lot more than necessary? I use it exactly how much is necessary. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding. Uh, but yeah, in terms of like what the agency is doing, it's able to give me a lot more resources by leveraging the YouTube side of things to put money back into projects that I'm like already working on. So for example, that Keegan Coleman shoot we did when we were in Buffalo, I needed a one wheel op. So one of the things that I did was I actually um, paid my buddy Tom to drive from Connecticut to Buffalo and also bring Navon as a sound op. So that way we had the resources that we needed, and that was funded by like Artlist. So and we also used Artlist stuff to help make that project come to life. So usually for Artlist, like their LUTs, their AI voiceover, like I'll use those as first passes. And when we send those to clients, like just to get something that's quick to turn around, so then that way they can kind of deliberate what they want or what they don't want, and that makes the job a little bit easier, especially for like voiceover stuff. Like it's way easier sending an AI voiceover as a first pass, and then coaching a voiceover artist or even the talent themselves to do it a little bit later. So um, that's what it's been able to help accomplish. Also getting on set more. Also, fun fact, and I haven't mentioned this before, but in terms of those creative films, if you've seen them, there's a third one that's coming in 2025, and I am EPing and DPing it. So I will be producing that film, and it'll be in Canada, which will also be kind of cool. So, hang on, where were we? Top 10 anime of all time. That's a lot of anime, man. I can give you like what I'm watching right now. Um, so I got to catch up on Dandadan. I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind Dragon Ball Daima. I got to catch up on Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Free run. I have yet to finish that season yet. And there's one other anime that I was watching, and I really liked it. The Elusive Samurai. I don't even know why I like that show so much. It's not that good, but I mean, it is kind of good actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. Want to buy an FX3 plus DZO film? Anyone have tried it out? My friend, my friend, Charlie, do you not watch the videos? Huh? Eh, I have a video telling you about the FX3 and the digital lenses. It's right there. You can go and see it, so, and I'll be able to tell you the things that you need to know. Any advice trying to be a PA and work with production company for beginners? Um, Here's one, and like, I'm not taking time to think about this because I think it's complicated, but I think maybe um, do a little bit more homework on possibly what that production company may need, and if it aligns with your skill set, provide that. Because I think the what ends up happening, and being completely transparent, and I think everybody has people asking to be PAs and people ask to shoot BTS, so it becomes a little bit overwhelming to like, how many BTS shooters do I really need? And it's not more than two, to be honest with you. And when you have so many people that want to like take on that role, oftentimes those things fall on deaf ears because it's like, well, the roster's full already, but we might need a gaffer, or we might need a lighting tech or a camera tech. So I would say maybe instead of like electing as a PA, just be like, hey, does your camera department need a tech? Or maybe learn a little bit more about like being a first AC, because not everybody rushes to be a first AC. Try to find different avenues to get on set that people might not have. Like, one thing that I want to try, and one reason why I got the GFX 50R is I want to get into set photography. And knowing that I'm traveling a bunch, I know that my domestic work has decreased a little bit, but I still want to be around the space. So instead of being a PA, I could offer like, hey, I can grip, but I could also double back and get your social media photos as a set photographer if you want me to, right? So just kind of expand the offerings that you have past just a PA. I know it's still a beginning thing, but yeah, just do that. And the things that you offer up, just also spend time getting better at those things, because it's very easy to say like, I'm down to be a gaffer, but then like also not have the also not want to be a better gaffer, if that makes any sense. Hope that answered that. I don't actually don't know. Favorite gear I reviewed in 2024. DJI Focus Pro. It takes a little bit of a workaround that is a little bit time consuming, but I will say, in terms of how quickly DJI turns over their innovation, because the Focus Pro came out 6-7 months after their original LiDAR autofocusing through the wireless transmission, that I also got to do the embargo video on as well. It took them 7 months to go from that to the Focus Pro. I can't imagine what it's going to take them from this to next year. Yeah, Focus Pro sick. Like, the Focus Pro is probably um, one of the best inventions that they're going to make. And to be fair, literally between the Ronin 4D and the Focus Pro and the LiDAR that's been in it has only been like a year and a half, maybe two. So like, what they're going to come out with next year or the year after that, in terms of how they make that even more viable, that's going to be interesting. What's my takeaway from filming my Bronco Sport is, don't use my Bronco Sport next time, because I destroyed that thing. There are so many scratches I got to buff out of that thing in the off season. Also, I had to get new plates. I thought that was some smart idea to do. I got like different plates just because now people have my license plate. That was a stupid idea, but yeah, that's two things. Also, like, I learned a lot about filming automotive stuff. Like, that was fun. There's a lot of things I would do differently for that shoot, truthfully, from a production standpoint. But I think kind of when it gets to summer and the ground gets a little bit drier and stuff, I'll be able to do a lot of those things. So there actually probably is another Bronco shoot somewhere. I'm just gonna get, plate covers and stuff. What's the Canadian film industry like? I'm not union, so like, I'm not CSE union. I have a good relationship with Sony Canada, so like, being able to take the hours to kind of do that. But realistically, a lot of my friends in the industry right now, they're not working that much, to be honest with you. It's kind of the same as all over the world, right? Like, um, a lot of people aren't working a ton. At least not as much as they were 3 years ago. And I think that's where you're starting to see a lot of people from the production world get into YouTube. It's mostly because the work is scarce, kind of thing. And Canada's not that much different. Um, there's things going on, but it's just not for a lot of people. And also, it's mostly like it's kind of it would end up being union first, unless there's like a few little network of people that are working quite a bit. But that's the same as anywhere. Yeah, same in Utah. It's been dead everywhere. That's kind of why the whole like strange like YouTuber versus filmmaker thing's always kind of weird because I'm like, well, yeah, Hollywood's kind of on fire, and like that side of the industry has been in a little bit of turbulence for like a while. Why wouldn't you change platforms and still pay your bills, kind of thing? Um, that at least that's my 2 cents. I don't want to get into that. Um, if you're doing film, oh, if I wasn't doing film, what would I be doing instead? Um, Probably working in the bank. Works at TD Canada Trust. I have a financial economics degree, which most people don't know, and I probably would have kept doing that and wearing suits, and I'd hate it because I hated it when I did it, and I don't want to go back now. So I would probably I'd probably make a lot more money in finance, to be honest with you. But I also would hate my job. So what is that? Oh, sorry. Favorite UHF transmission system. Uh, I don't know what UHF stands for, to be completely honest with you. Like, if you're asking if I like Teradeks, I love Teradeks. I don't have Teradek money though. Actually, you know what? You tell me what UHF stands for, because I just call them transmission systems. I don't know what the UHF stands for, and I don't want to be. Oh, wireless audio. Um. Oh, like headsets. Shoot. Okay. I just got these ones. Hang on a sec. Who knows? Autofocus is going to keep up with me. I just got these. Oh, okay. Autofocus. Okay, cool. Go Jays, go Griffins. Greg has done his homework and he knows what school I attended and played ball at. So Cinco sent me these guys. I don't think I have a review on them. They kind of just sent them with no strings attached. But I'm gonna give these guys a try. I have used the Hollylands quite a bit, and I've used like multiple of the solid comms. I didn't realize there's like 5 different solid comms. They all look the same. Hopefully, there's a new one that comes out. I heard there might be, but I've used the Hollylands a bunch. But these Cinco ones kind of look the same. Like they look really similar. Like these kind of look like the solid comms. Will it focus? No, it won't. Oh, there you go. Yeah, like these kind of look like the solid comms. But I heard like these are more of a budget version of them. I'm gonna try these out a little bit. But in terms of my favorite one, I've only really used Hollyland, so I'll say those until maybe these prove otherwise. Okay. I just made it. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think cognition. I think I answered the question. I hope. I mean, yeah, I think I answered that. I hope I did. Unless I just haven't used one yet, to be honest with you. I like uh, just so we're clear. As much as I am part of the realm of filmmakers, um, there are certain gear I haven't used and never needed to. So I wish I could answer that for you. I might actually have. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna Google what UHF is because I actually don't know what that is before I go and make a fool out of myself. Oh, okay. Well, now I feel silly. I have Sennheiser G4 Labs. That would be my favorite UHF system. There, we got to see how stupid Kofi is. He doesn't know everything, which I never did, but it's okay. Sennheiser has a new UHF system, and what? What's the new Sennheiser one, Ben? Also, I'm very happy that there's like a pretty appropriate amount of likes to people watching the stream. That's not me being sarcastic. I'm being dead serious. Um, haven't used the deity yet, but hang on a second. Yeah, cognition. I haven't actually. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't used those, and I've never had a job where I've needed to. I mentioned Shimbo video transmitters. Have you tried the new Max Pan? That must not be me because I haven't used the Shimbo TP transmitters yet. To be honest with you. Yeah, this is gear like I haven't. I wish I could tell you more, but I have no idea. But I'm gonna move on to this list now. So I have got to use a lot of cameras. I've got to buy and sell things. I kind of talk about cameras I'm going into 2025 with, or like things I'm predicting that are going to happen. And am I hearing any AI tools you should be using? Hang on a second. So I'm going to go into that part in camera predictions first. But AI tools, I use. Crap. What's the name of it? There's one that's really good for storyboarding, and I don't remember what it's called. I think it's LTX Studio. Also, my camera may die at any given time. Actually, no, it won't die. I'm going to plug it into a VMAT battery. I use LTX Studio, which I think I've been using for like storyboarding. I had the free trial and it worked really well, so that was fun. And I think that's pretty much all I've been using, except for like AI voiceover for Artlist for like first passes for commercials or like sound editing using AI. Like I haven't really used like full AI tools yet outside of that storyboard tool, which is really nice. I might do a video on like building a reel, but using AI to do the directing for me. I'm gonna try that out. Were you going to play with the C80 more? I saw the one video you did. Thought you were going to drop another one. Scotty, I thought I was going to drop more of them, and Canon asked for the camera back like super, super fast. Like I started the FX6 versus C80 video. Hard part is I have footage comparisons. I don't have any comparisons of the body, and I had to send the camera back and then immediately go to Utah to test the to come bring back the Pixis. So if I get it again, I'll probably finish that video sometime. But like I literally ran out of time, and Canon's like, "Here's a shipping label. Like, bring it back yesterday." And unfortunately, that video got cut short. A couple of other videos got cut short as well. The spec project for the Bronco shoot was mostly C80 in terms of the car mounted shots. That I tried to do the video on, and I didn't have enough to substantiate like a whole video on it, despite having BTS and not just telling you pretty much what I said in the first video that, and then added a gimbal into it. But if I get it again, which hopefully happens, I'll finish those things because there was like 3 videos I had, and then kind of got cut short. Andrew, quality live stream is incredible. Hey, 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 look at me. Look at me. You have to use a Lumix S52X. Actually, I'm just using a capture card from Condor Blue. It's super easy to find. They're super easy to use. But it's been pretty much like great. I'm trying to go through like all of these because I was about to read something. Yeah, LTX Studio is great for storyboards. I got to flesh it out a little bit more and use it more. Hang on a second, one guys. Where is? I'm going to try to plug a battery in to this S52X. Any non-camera gear on your list to try list for 2025? I'm going to switch my Apple Watch to a Whoop, mostly because I hate charging this thing all the time, and it dies like every day and a half, which is super annoying. What else in terms of tech? I'm not a big MacBook iPad person. Like I really, um, I'll buy them when I need them, but like I don't buy a new iPad or MacBook every single year, or even every like 2 years. Like I probably am due for one a little bit, but I don't really do it. Um, Non-camera gear. I don't buy a lot of non-camera gear. I'm probably gonna mod the crap out of my car. Like it's gonna look completely different in April than it does now. That's pretty much what I spend money on. And I travel a lot, and I want to buy more clothes, but I also want to try new gyms because that's what I used to do a lot. Look at the energy system. I'm gonna keep saying this. I bought the FX6 because of Kofi. Then he left the system. Hey, just because I left the system doesn't mean it no longer works for you, man. Like my whole goal with like doing videos and like doing runs on cameras is the idea that you take the information, you apply it to the work that you have, and then you make that decision based on the work that you have. Me not having that work anymore and changing the camera doesn't necessarily mean that like your work changes by any means. So I'm glad you still got it. Glad you're still using it, and I hope everybody else coming to that system uses those videos as information to make their life easy. Um, Artlist audio, epidemic sound, story blocks, or music bed. Cognition, this is a conflict of interest because some of those companies have paid me to do videos. In fact, all of those except for epidemic sound have paid me to do videos. So I am not a good person to ask. Artlist, can we keep using that accent for the rest of the stream? No. However, I made this deal, and I don't know if it'll happen or not. But if if Squarespace or Artlist signs for a whole year, if any one of these companies sign for a whole year, like how Peter had Squarespace Pete, I will have my own version of that, which will only do the ad reads in an accent, provided that they let me do that, which I hope they do. Wayne, Jake Hayden. I feel like I know who Jake Hayden is. Dynamic ranges and gizmos cameras, you know. Wayne, I didn't notice the dynamic range being bad. Like, and again, I think my litmus test for like dynamic range is like, if I'm in a room in a dark, moody scene, can I see out the window? Like, that's like, I don't like in terms of the minutia and like using Xylo tracks and stuff. Like, I'll never do that. But like, can I do that part? And if that works, then the camera works for me. My bad. To use list. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna find a battery to plug this into because now everyone's asking questions and my camera's gonna die. I'm still here. I'm just making sure my camera doesn't die, and all of you laugh at me because you guys did that the last time and it hurt my feelings. Actually, no, it didn't. But hey, it is what it is. Okay. While I'm doing this, I'm going to try to answer some of these questions. So, my bad on to use list. I meant cinema gear, but not cameras. Like, oh, I was in a conversation with Steadicam a little while ago, and I really want to try their new Steadicam. I guess they added a new motor into one of their Steadicams, and I'm gonna hopefully work with them in terms of like doing a series on like adapting. 1 second here. Set. Did it work? Who knows? I don't know. Camera might die, and then I'll have to change the batteries. But yeah, no. Steadicam was one of the camera companies that I wanted to work with in terms of like non-cinema camera gear. Also, want to get myself a Dana Dolly and make this camera level. There we go. Want to get a Dana Dolly, which would have been really dope. There's a couple things, but those two are that. This is one drawback of Lumix cameras. Autofocus sometimes is terrible. Is there anything that you miss in the S5 2X after coming from the FX3? I still have an FX3. I'm just using the S5 2X. And the only thing I miss is autofocus that stays on because it just did it behind. Tool behind the camera is more important than the camera they are behind. That makes sense. I appreciate it. I hope you're Alario, I hope your 2025 is fruitful and amazing. You're amazing. Kofi teaching you travels. Things the hack for us, not just to read the manual. Hey, Edmund, I think I taught everything that I could possibly teach on the FX6. Like part of the reason why I just rent them now is that like I'm not make much content about them. I still use them. I've used them a bunch this year. Is everything that I know you guys know now. Like there's nothing else I can tell you anymore, which is kind of like That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, there's nothing else. There's no other information that I can give you, um, which kind of sucks. But I mean, I don't know. I made 72 videos on the FX6. I don't know. Currently have an FX30, and I own a cinematography business in Southern California as a high school senior. If I look to get the FX6 or 9, what is the most requested around this time? I would say the FX6, I think, but I wouldn't stress yourself out about the camera that you could rent all the time right away. I'd maybe worry about what you're going to use the most, especially when you're starting out. You're probably going to want to build your own portfolio and worry about that first. Was just watching your mid combo. Good stuff. Thank you, man. Yeah, that was a cool conversation. Like, I've talked to Ed for like a while, and it was interesting that he was like in the city down the street from me. And when I mean down the street, like an hour and a half away, because Toronto's like that. But yeah, no, it was really cool. It was a really dope conversation. Who did you learn how to color grade from? Uh, I watched a lot of Kazi, but I feel like I didn't understand a lot of the things that he was saying. But when I learned how to use Resolve properly, like, I think I just kind of started doing stuff and then hoping that it worked. Um, I also learned a lot about like what color checkers are for. So like if I saw a look that I wanted, like I would like try to match them up sometimes, then I would fall into a look that I really liked. And realistically, like most things are going to kind of have like a couple of different like base palettes and have variations from there. So yeah, I would say YouTube University, mostly like the color grading channels that everybody else watches. But I think just especially during the pandemic, you have a lot of time to like play around with looks and what you want things to look like. So it was a lot easier doing it that way. Oh, I open the podcast to watch the live stream only to realize, or what you open the YouTube to watch the podcast to realize I'm live streaming. Yeah, that happens. Color grading, but color grading dev helped when I first got the FX3 earlier using S-Log. Yeah, man. Especially the 10-bit out of the FX30, man. Like, you get a lot for not a lot of money in terms of the S-Log 3 out of the FX30, man. If you can combine multiple features from existing cameras to build the ultimate camera, sensors, menu system, body, what would you build? I feel like if I can take, truthfully, if I took the Pixis body, menu, Komodo X V mount, and the same frame rates as, actually, I'd say the same frame rates as the Komodo X with Lumix IBIS and Sony AI autofocus. I think that, and like maybe an E mount because of the autofocus. Yeah, that would be it. Which that would be so much money. Essentially, I think what you'd be asking for is just a smaller Ursa 12K with a Focus Pro built into it, but smaller, and also had Lumix IBIS. Like, I think that's what you'd be looking for realistically. But yeah, those would be the combination of all those things from like a cinema camera perspective. In terms of hybrid cameras, like I think most of these guys got it, man. Like, there's not a lot I could ask for in terms of like a Z6 III, which hopefully I should get next week. Or like the S5 2X. Like, there's a couple tweaks in here and there, but like there's not a lot of big swings these companies used to make, which is kind of a good thing. I mentioned it with me mentioned a video, man. Find the agency worth is hard to join one. I'm a full-time freelance right now. Sleep Vibes. The agency is mostly for my brand deals and stuff like that, not necessarily as a DP. The blessed part about being part of Creator is I technically was the first person they asked. And I think Cam signed like the same day or the next day or something like that. So like I heard about it like a little while ago. So I got approached for that and I didn't know, and I didn't have a lot of subscribers at the time. So it was kind of cool. So I don't know. Like, it wasn't a lot, like it wasn't something I was intentionally looking for. It's just something that sort of happened. Um, what are the odds Sony will at least add 4:3 and 6:5 aspect ratio to a non-Venice Piranha cameras for anamorphic use? I don't think they're very high. And I don't think they're very high because I don't know if in the development of the new cameras that came out, that was a need that was expressed at the time, where they've maybe probably gone so far into production where now we've kind of said we want open gate and stuff like that for anamorphic support because those lenses are more cheap and accessible. Uh, I think the expectation change with like the time of the development, I think, is going to get mismatched. So I don't know if it's in Sony's like design language to do it in hybrid cameras. Um, and I mean, I would argue Lumix is doing it because they don't have like a upper thing to go to, right? So why not just put everything in the camera you have? Yeah, like the FX line will probably like the FX line will more than likely. But in terms of hybrid cameras, I don't think so. But I could totally see like an FX9 Mark II and an FX6 Mark II and an FX3 Mark II maybe doing the open gate, but like an A7 IV not having open gate. Because I think what they're going to do, from when at least we had a conversation with Sony's, I think there's going to be, if there is an A7S4, there's going to be a little bit more separation that's a lot more clear between the FX3 and what the A7S 3 is. Instead of them being like the same sensor and effectively the same camera that have different form factors that you have to kind of tweak around a little bit. Also, this camera switches, I plugged it into the Caleb Pike battery. I have no idea if that's charging the battery. Actually, if anybody knows this, because I'm still new to Lumix cameras, if I plug directly through USB-C into a V mount with USB-C, particularly a V mount battery, does it charge? Because it doesn't show it's charging. Actually, oh, never mind. There's a little plug there. It does. It is actually charging. There we go. That's great. The plug icon is like this small above the battery. You actually can't tell. How long have we been on stream for? Oh, an hour and a half. That's not bad. So I'm gonna go into the next part of the show. Thoughts on Fujifilm? Okay, I'm gonna try to answer the questions first because also the list of cameras kind of doesn't matter. Thoughts on Fujifilm Eternal, the new medium format cine style body they're developing. I hope in that camera they change the sensor that they're going to use for it, because like, and that's not to say that the GFX 100 Mark II is a bad sensor. I've used it like for, truthfully, I didn't make a video on it, but I had it for like 6 months. But I just don't know if that's like a sensor that I would want for video all the time. I think it'd be like a very specialty sensor, like if you want to get those high resolution images and you're on sticks and you're never going to move it from like a tripod situation, because I feel like the readout won't be very fast. But if they are going to do it, I think give us a sensor that's going to be a little bit more geared towards video, and let the GFX 100 Mark II be the GFX 100 Mark II, and not try to clone it into a cinema body, because sometimes that doesn't do as well as you think it does. Kofi, the everyday question: if you only have 3 lenses for the rest of your life, unlimited camera bodies, I would have. Do they got to be primes or zooms? I need logistics. They got to be primes or zooms. Because if they're zooms, then I'll just pick like a 16-35, a 24-70, and a 7200. So you got to hit me with a little bit more. Can you imagine Nikon camera adapting Sony lenses where the Z mount adapter goes in counterclockwise and the E mount lens goes in clockwise? Totally possible, but weird. Engineering wise, I don't know if you can do that. Then again, I'm not an engineer, so I'm blowing smoke. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea. That would be kind of dope, but I feel like it would open the door to having somebody completely destroy their lens mount. Like I think you can get it from like a flange distance, but I definitely think that somebody will absolutely rip it apart. Like it'd be a thing you could do. I think you just have to you'd have to idiot proof it, which would be kind of tough. The only 3 lenses you can and have nothing else. No, Ben, I think what he's asking for is like the lens mount is mounted onto the Nikon camera, and if you turn left, it's Nikon Z mount. If you turn right, it's Sony E mount. I guarantee you somebody will destroy their mount and screw that up. Only 3 lenses, and you can never have anything else. I would take. See, here's the hard part. Okay. So I would have, instead of limited camera bodies, awesome. I would have like a Sony hybrid camera, 24-50 f2.8. That's the first lens. I would take the Ursa 12K, and I would have a 24 and a 50 millimeter RE Master Prime. There. You said lenses, so I got it, an unlimited camera body. So the Sony hybrid camera would do my 24 to 50 work, and then I got 2 RE Master Primes on a nurse to 12K. Yeah, cognition. I know what you're saying. I just don't know how you would do it. Because then you would have to change. The only way you'd be able to do it is that all the mounts on every Sony lens or every Nikon lens going forward would have to change. You need a new mount because all the lenses lock in going a certain way and they're all the same way. So I think they're all the same way. Do Nikon lenses mount the different way? I could be wrong, but I'm assuming they all turn the same way. Um, and if they do that with the electronic contacts, then like, yeah, you're going to need to figure something out. Can't wait for the Nikon Z6 III details. Yeah, truthfully, I mean, I'm not under NDA. I didn't have to say nothing, but yeah, I was supposed to work on a thing with them for the ZF and the Z6 III, and that was supposed to ship before I went to Utah, which was the beginning of the month, and that didn't happen yet. So I have no idea where they are. I know they're coming. I'm supposed to, I think, be giving them back in like February, so as soon as possible, I think. Any non-filmmaking goals that might help you? Yeah, Ilario, I am going to spend more time back in the gym than I will making videos. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't think I'm going to make less videos. I think I'll just like not stress myself out about trying to make a blockbuster every time I upload. In exchange, spending more time in the gym, which the whole reason of this live stream is that my gym is closed today and tomorrow, which is super frustrating. But I've kind of made those adjustments already. Like I have a meal prep company that's kind of doing stuff. And the way that I see it is that if I'm working on like brand deals and stuff like that, that excess flow of money should pay for having things like your meal prep and stuff done for you so that you could spend more time like doing your job. So home workouts are great. I just don't like them. like, like I could care less about home workouts. I could like when I go for a run, cool. I hate it. It's fun. Like it does the job. I just don't like them. Um, no, I won't end up doing an MMA match, but I haven't bought like because I was gone for a bunch. I haven't boxed in a little while, and I was actually doing really well. But I was traveling a bunch, so I didn't do it. But I actually have been boxing and then like getting PT for that as well. And the one guy that I'm actually doing a doc on, which you guys might have seen in a previous Pixis video, opened a new gym. So that's going to be a thing. So yeah, so you might actually just see me training in some videos as well. Do I want to do a triathlon? Absolutely not. I feel like even if I was in shape for one, there's nothing more I'd like I could if you said do I want to play a full season of men's league football, I'll do that. Triathlon? Absolutely not. I don't have the attention span for long runs. Kofi, knowing the success you've had this year, what would you have done differently? I would have rented a bigger apartment. I'm not gonna lie. I think I got this spot under these. Like obviously, like I like this apartment. This is great, and it's able for me like to make content and stuff like that, and it's really fun. Thing is, I think I've already started to outgrow it within like a couple of months of me getting here. I wish I had spent more money on getting like a bigger place to hold more things to make more content and even like do some small jobs out of instead of kind of like saving a little bit of money and then having that. But at the same time, having cheaper rent, I could buy land. I bought land in Africa. You may see that in videos later, probably next winter. Hey, Kobe, what do you think of filmmaking agencies? Are they? That's going to drive me nuts. What do you think of filmmaking agencies? Are they necessary for smaller creators? My thought process is if you sign to anything, it should have something that you want. And if you sign to an agency, the thing that you want is the fact that not necessarily to increase your skill, but you need clients to apply that skill to in order to make money. And what you pay into is the opportunity to focus on being better at your job in exchange for the money you pay the agency or whatnot. If you're somebody that's already busy and already getting like requests and bookings, it might not be something for you. But you have to keep those things into consideration. What country in Africa did you buy land in? I'll give you a clue. If you find out where my name is from, pretty easy to find out where I got it. There you go. Some homework for you. But yeah, no, I bought land in Ghana, West Africa, in right after condo, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next couple of years using a lot of the revenue from YouTube to buy into that. As one, I owned property when I was a lot younger, when I was like 19, and I lived in wealth. And one of my biggest regrets was selling that property because I think I bought it for like 225. I bought it, and that was in 2011. And I think that place right now is I think it's like $900,000. And I'm like 30, I'm 32. So if I had just shut up between age 27 to 32, $700,000 would have been in my bank account. Obviously, you can't predict for those kind of things. So one of the things I'm going to do is just do that in another country and buy land and then kind of let it appreciate. And I think the way that it works is you get like 2-ish years to build on it, at least like building a fence or whatever around it. But if like knock on wood, things go really well. Actually, I don't think you knock on wood for good things, but if things go well, I would buy another plot of land and then maybe build on one and then build on the other and rent on the other, or just play the real estate game just in a different country. Because like Canada's a great place. It's not become a very tenable place to live, to retire in, because it's super expensive. And if you want to offset those expenses, you need to have income from something else that kind of works on itself. So that's the real estate thing. So if anybody wants to know where the ultimate goal is for this channel, is that you might see me be like a 40-year-old retiree or 45-year-old retiree living in West Africa, making camera reviews in Africa. Actually, that sounds dope. But yeah, you should take up Muay Thai and wrestling. Cardio will go up. Man, boxing has my hands full already. And the hardest part about boxing right now is that like there's not a lot of people to spar with, but also like I don't want to spar until like I've been super, super consistent, and I was for a lot of the year, and then I traveled a bunch. So I'm gonna go through the boxing thing first. Like, let me get like good. I want to be good at it before trying a new sport, which I kind of like just as much as the cardio aspect of it, which is fun. Well, at least Canada and Africa have similar climates. That's hilariously like I mean, Canada in July maybe. But yeah, no, like when I was there last year, it was like 90 something degrees like every day. And like it rained twice, maybe. And I was there for like 5 weeks. And maybe rained like 2 or 3 times. Build a city like it's The Sims. Yo, if I had that kind of money, to build a whole city, my last day would be Beast. Top 5 YouTubers watch 2025. Man, I'm not a good person to ask because like it's conflict of interest. Most of them are friends. And B, I think maybe just do the thing instead of watching other people do the thing. Like, that's not to say don't watch YouTubers anymore, but I'm like, maybe it's time we do the thing. Even me. Like, if I don't have information that resonates with you that you're looking for, it's totally okay if that doesn't gel with you. But yeah, I also don't know. I think like watch whoever you're watching now, and your algorithm will tell you who to watch next. I think they're a way better indicator than I am. I do have boxer hands. That's how big my hand is. It's a very large hand. I have Mio. I shot Mio at myself by accident, and that's how that works. Adam, I am accepting questions. However, I can't tell you where babies come from because I don't know. My 17-year-old started boxing this year and loves it. Man, boxing is fun as heck. I'm the only downside about like traveling a bunch is your routine gets thrown off in terms of your training. And like when you like a certain training style and you're like, oh, I really want to like box and powerlift, and like those are like my favorite things. And when I was competing, literally all I did was like kind of powerlift, do my cardio, eat decently, and I look like a Dragon Ball Z character. When you don't have that because you're out of the country so much, it kind of sucks. Like, not gonna lie. But one of the things I'm gonna try doing is I found out that you can bring pre-cooked food on airplanes. So I'm gonna bring like a little cooler of food with me, and everywhere I travel in 2025, I think has gyms close to it. At least Vegas and other places that I can't mention because I'm not allowed to. I'm gonna hear Kofi babies come from the babies. No, babies don't come from the baby store. They come from the stork. Get it right. Wait, what was the question? I'm like, Adam, what was the actual question? Like, what just happened? My desktop will give me a panic attack. Preston just sent me a message saying that my desktop will give him a panic attack. Shout out to the stream for keeping me Another super chat. Actually, I have no it. Is there a tally of how many super chats there are? Because whatever it is, thank you guys so much. I totally forgot super chats existed. Yeah, man. I think I'm gonna stream a little bit more. I think it's gonna be in a more structured and formalized way. I kept trying to tell myself I was gonna live stream in 2024. Didn't do it. I wasn't home, so I'm gonna use that as my redemption arc to do it now. Storks come from the baby store. 3 so far. You've had 3 storks. That's wild. When mommy camera and daddy camera like each other, the rest is protected by NDA. Damn. That's hilarious. I know it's gonna be interesting getting more into photography in 2025. What's your current experience and take on photography? Sell shots. Shout out to him on threads. I, no one knows this, but I did a lot of photography back in the day. Like I used to shoot campaigns just as much as I did for video for athleisure companies. I shot a lot of magazines. Actually, I'm pretty sure a magazine I have a cover for is like right like there somewhere in the closet in my house. But I did a lot of photography before, and during the pandemic, when I was doing like kind of like street architecture photos, I'd sell prints, and that was kind of like a big part of things when I was trying to get better at video. So I think it's just going back to that. And it was something a realization that I kind of had. And it's also just because like I hang out with like Chris Brockers and Cam and stuff like that, is acknowledging that like yes, filmmaking is important, but you're also just a generally creative person. And the teaching of the filmmaking stuff is important, but also applying it to things that you're interested in is even more important, has better longevity. For example, like I could teach you guys as many ways to light for dark skin tones as I possibly can. But I think making videos in with the intention of a cinematographer and applying it to things that are of interest to me, which is like automotive and going to the gym and photography and that stuff. Like that's kind of become a little bit more of the focus, I think, in my mind. So I want to apply that into something that's actionable instead of just talking about filmmaking. Use it to things that are of interest, which is mostly photography. So it's going back to what I've kind of already done, but doing it in a way where I'm applying the stuff that I had learned for a bunch of years and I've taught you guys. Checking out my latest film. Hey, so just so you all know, David's film making, one of the most talented people that can't vote yet on YouTube and will do very, very well. He reminds me a lot of Leo Keller, except if Leo was more long form on YouTube. So if you guys are a Leo Keller fan and you want to add to that fandom, I would follow David. Where am I? What shift did you make mentally for your own watching content and making content and being consistent and sticking to it? So Adam, I think one of the biggest things is like if you plan ahead, man, like your life becomes so much easier when you've planned what you're doing ahead. I think a lot of people when they're making videos, like they'll make like they will have their idea for what they want to film on Monday on Sunday night and not think about the week after. Whereas like when I started, I knew that like if I wanted to be consistent, I just have to plan ahead. And it becomes a lot easier when you plan ahead because then when I carry my camera on me, I'm like, oh shoot, I have that Fuji video that I have to finish or something like that. Fuji videos tomorrow. I could start shooting for that stuff on a daily basis and kind of piece things together. And as well as sometimes like if freelancing gets slow, I could just set up like I set up this setup right now and decide that, hey, you know what? I'm going to get my week of videos out of the way right now. And throughout the month, I'll be able to do, I'll be able to get the B-roll and the stuff that I need for those videos a little bit later. So, or you do it the other way where you've like worked on a job and then you want to talk about it later on and stuff like that. So I say just plan ahead, man. I'm seeing the absolute possibility of moving to Nevada, potential gold rush there for filmmaking. Hopefully, it won't be bad for most people. Well, Alori, I think Vegas is definitely cheaper to live in than LA. But from what I heard and when I was there, I think it's Atlanta. I think Atlanta might be kind of the hub now. Kofi doesn't have hands; he has mitts. These are definitely. I'm not going to say anything, but also like this is the reason why I got this guy versus the X106 is the X106 even with a grip and even like the S9, like when I put my hand on it, I need to get like my pinky. Like if this doesn't go on, I'm so less likely to use it. Now, like when I shoot video, it's not a big of a deal because I can just like hold it by the lens or it goes on a tripod or something. But with photo, like if I can't do this, I'm so unlikely to use it. And I found the GFX cameras and the Nikon ZF when it has the like the big grip are the only two camera systems that I can do that and actually have the grip for it without getting like the ugly battery grip at the end. Like I just want a nice little like, like an aesthetic wooden grip that fits my hand. I just have massive hands. I heard that using polarizers are good for darker skin complexions. Do you know how? I think Brandon Washington said that. Cognition. Brandon Washington said that because he saw my video on lighting for dark skin tones. You should check that shit out. No, I'm just kidding. It's kind of. So basically, what ends up happening is, and it's not on here right now because I don't have a 67 circular polarizer. But say for example, if I want to like make the background darker, and I turn this light up and I bring down my ND, what ends up happening is that like the super bright highlights on my face from dark skin to light skin for darker skinned people becomes more prominent. So if you're working with someone who's fair skinned, their skin's already fair. So that change between like white skin, for lack of a better word, and the highlight is a far closer distance than like dark skin to a highlight. And sometimes the light looks sourcey and it doesn't look good. Now here it looks fine because I've changed the paint, like the paint on my wall is very strategic to kind of bring that up when the light spills over. But when you use a circular polarizer, when you turn it, you actually will take out that highlight. So it'll help flatten out some of those unwanted things that you might have on there. We're gonna do ice bath plunges in February. Uh Cam, that is the most Super Saiyan Easter egg. I know what you mean. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Just let them be. Let us be. Let us just don't ruin it. Come to Chicago and join the Polar Bear Club. They jump in the lake, Michigan in January. Hey, I live in Canada. I will never go to Chicago in the wintertime. You guys are like, I'm from Toronto. It's too cold where you are. I'm not going. And if there's snow on the ground, count me out. How far ahead are your uploads? Um, so the Fuji GFX 50R videos tomorrow. Most likely in the next 24 hours. The sit down talking head videos that I have for some of the freelance stuff, I think I'm going to shoot all tomorrow, and they're not really hard to shoot, so I'll get those done tomorrow. So I'll probably be, by the time I go to CES, be like 8 up, and like 2 or 3 of them I have to get B-roll for the rest of the video to finish it off, but probably be like 8 up, and like this might be the last month of me doing like 10 videos in a month that are batched together. I just wanted to get that like freelance, like let me help you kind of like business wise out of the way in January because it's an appropriate month to do it. I don't know where you are seeing a gold rush to Nevada for filming, but Utah, yeah, Utah's a big hub for filmmaking now. A lot of commercials and stuff have moved out that way. Um, hey, Brendan, thank you, man. I'm glad that worked out. But yeah, no, if you're working with darker skin tones, man, especially if you have like big sourcey lights that aren't that don't have the white balance you want, like you have that big harsh highlight, circular polarizer helps that out. Alton said something and then said it back. So I'll start 10 a month isn't say work. Preston, I don't think you know about me, my friend. So the most amount of videos I put up in a month was 14. And it drove people insane because they're like, this guy has to quit. And I actually think that's when like other creators in the filmmaking space were like, who the hell is this person? Because this was like early 2023. And most people were like, who is doing that? Why are you doing this? And it was fun. So it was cool. It's ironic. I was going to search your A74 video so I could touch on some topics in my review. and you happen to be streaming, think do you think scripting videos helps? Adam, I'll tell you right now, I don't actually know if I script videos. I have like a point form to-do list on my phone. That's a script for my videos. Like, and they're not even like full sentences. They're just like rolling shutter, and then that's it. So I'm not a good person to ask about scripting videos because I typically don't. Do you think the FX3 is still a solid choice for starting out in client work and YouTube videos in 2025, or is there something better for same price range now? I think in terms of if you're doing client work, I think Sony still has a better ecosystem for that. If you do like if someone that's doing like content creation, YouTube and stuff like that, or mostly like Instagram reels and stuff, I think there's way more options for you. Mostly the reason why I say Sony is because they have a gigantic ecosystem in lenses. If you're working with other production companies, most people are familiar with Sony. At least where I'm from, like everyone has a Red and Ari or a Sony. Like I don't know a production with Canon cameras or Nikon or like Black Magic as an A cam, to be honest with you. So I would say in terms of the ecosystem, yes, if you're doing client work, like Sony in general is going to do really well. Is there anything in 2025? We'll see when it comes out, man. Like if I knew, here's the thing: if I knew, there will be signs. If I know what camera's coming out, there will be signs. That's all. No, I don't think not scripting doesn't hinder the creative process. If you're someone who, like, people that need to script are people that need to script. Like, I would say, if you're somebody that needs to script a video, like you, and you know who that is too, right? Like, if you're not good at like ad-libbing and improvising, I would rock a script, man. Like, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about like what's the better technique. Just worry about one that's gonna help you show up. Oh, yeah, Preston, I'm a crazy person, but also like the workflow of making multiple videos in a day has gotten easier the more times that I've done it. Yeah, press like again, you're pressing your sorry, Brendan. You're in a situation where that makes a lot of sense. Now there are some times where using a circular polarizer for dark skin actually hurts more than it helps. Um, but again, just keep it in your bag and then just audition it if it works out. DJI Focus Pro LiDAR discontinued. Is it discontinued by B&H? That's weird. Hang on a second. Cognition, I think you might be talking about the old rangefinder on the LiDAR because it is very much available where I am right now. Yeah, the all-in-one combo is right here. Either that or I think before when you can buy the Focus Pro, you were able to buy them like in little tiny pieces. But and they might have just stopped that from happening, but you could totally still buy the Focus Pro, man. Osmosis Action Pro 5. That's funny. My friend said he went to MSU, the school of make stuff up. Hey, that's kind of what I feel like when I wrote my exams in university. I just made stuff up. Hey, Sleep Vibes. Thanks for watching that whole podcast, man. Like, that was super fun, and I like doing podcasts. I always wonder if people actually go all the way with it. Um, but yeah, thank you for watching that whole thing. I definitely thought it was really fun. That was cool. No, the lidar itself, yeah. So the lidar part itself might be discontinued, but also I think that's the older version because I have like when they sent me the lidar rangefinder. Yeah, so the Focus Pro lidar that might be I don't know because I know there's two different kinds. Like I have two, and they look different from when I got the lidar from the wireless transmission system in August, and then when I got the Focus Pro lidar, they were two. They look distinctly different, but they were kind of the same. So maybe you just can't buy them singularly anymore. To be honest with you, or you just can't. Yeah, or maybe you just can't buy them on its own anymore. That might be a thing. If I was reading what you said, what your product you create 5 to 10 videos breaking it down. to a T, those videos would help me find you, the algorithm, especially for those FX30 videos. Adam, that's exactly how I like doing videos on camera bodies. Is that, and unless it's just like unless it's something where like I'm super curious, like I'm technically like I'm usually not interested in getting new camera systems from brands unless I can make more than one video about it. The only exception to that was the Canon C80 because I think at one end it was kind of like that, and then it wasn't, which rightfully so. Like Canon didn't pay me or anything like that, so like they don't have to give me the camera for as long as I want it for. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, like most of the cameras I've had on the channel, like I've kind of talked about a few times. The Lumix S9, I think I've done the least, and I haven't done anything about the S5 IIX, although I had them for around the same time. So those will be things that are later on, but they've been in videos. I just haven't made dedicated videos about them yet. They've been having issues, rumors of having issues with laws. I wonder I wonder if they are having issues with them because like I haven't like mine's been fine since I got it. Like I've had the same Focus Pro pretty much since I don't know, we got it before you guys did. So I would have said March, like March or April. Mine hasn't done anything wrong since. Cognition, I doubt it's being yanked, man. I think at the worst of it, there's a new one. At the best of it, no, sorry, the worst of it, they're just selling the Focus Pro all in one package. At the best of it, there's probably a new one. What are some of the biggest motivators you for the coming year? Um, I think the fact that the sub count has doubled and it has been doubling every year. That's kind of motivating because it just means that like whatever you are doing, stay the course of what you're doing and doing it like a couple points percentage better, and you'll have the same result. Which ultimately it would be kind of nice to get to the 6 digit mark. Obviously, I haven't been here long enough to demand that, so it'd be kind of cool to want, but a thing you have to work for. But I don't know. I think the motivation of things is that a I could be working on a way worse job, and b like things are actually moving, which is nice. Oh. Oh, Ben, that makes sense. So, like, Ben, do you have the Sigma Cines are not linear? That's weird. I didn't know that. Although I've rented the Sigma Cines, I thought the Cine lenses did have a linear focus, but I might have read that wrong. I got an S5 too, and it's the best investment I've made this year. Love it. Just need good lenses now. Hey, man, you're putting it to good use. I've seen your stuff, David. You're doing the thing. Thoughts about the Aperture ADC and the new Blair Cobb system. Aperture ADC we used in Utah because I went up with Brady and Brandon. Thing's really nice, super nice light. It was really nice light actually, to be honest with you. The Blair Cobb system, I haven't seen anything from it. To be honest with you, I've like once like I've been a big Namlight guy for a while. Like once I'm in the Namlight bag, like I just kind of didn't look at other lights because I was like, oh, I have it already. I'd love to try the 1000C. I don't know if I need a 1000C. I could do a 1000X just fine. Um, but yeah, I think with lights, they're gonna be lights, man. Like I'm not um as long as I have the light that does the thing I need to do, I don't have a lot of wandering eyes for lights, if that makes any sense. Sony Sony Focus Pro, do you find it to be on par with modern Sony Lumix autofocus? Sorry. No. Also, I feel like somebody asked that before. But no, the Focus Pro is definitely not like a native autofocusing system. But it's very usable for using cine lenses that otherwise didn't have it before, if that makes any sense. Blue, lime, yeah, access indigo, red. Yeah, so like the colors you can get out of it are great. I just oh, sorry. That's what you meant, Blair Cobb system. I thought that sounded like it was a different brand. Um, I think it's super nice. I just like I've just never in my work needed it. And maybe it's because like I don't have the work that needs it. I think it's really cool. And I think if it kind of trickles down to other lights, it'd be great. I've just never need like I've never been in a situation where I'm like, oh crap, like I need like a line at all. Uh, would I just would I use the Focus Pro on client shoots or still use manual focus? I actually did use the Focus Pro at the Keon Coleman shoot when I had the Cook SB3s. So that worked. And like for the tracking shots, it worked well. Like it did fine. The thing is that it has a 20, it's like a 20-foot or something like that radius. Like it only works like so far away. So there were shots where you had to get stuff on the track where I wish we had autofocus, and had like I hired a one wheel op Tom to kind of get those tracking shots, but I had to pull focus because they were too far away. So the shots I did use, it worked, and the shots that it didn't, like you just use the hand unit that comes with the pro package, and then you could change back and forth how you want. Chris, when I did talk about some of my favorite cameras, but I think if I was to go through, okay, if you guys want to hear like a top 5, I need which category, because I think it's going to be like if I do top 5 overall, then the context is going to get all over the place. But give me like a category, and I'll give you the top 5. Better than RGB supposedly in color versions. Put out twice the candles. Oh, hang on a second. Better than RGB supposedly, and the color versions put out twice the candles as daylight versions. I don't know if that was a question, but like I know the premise. Like I went to the Aperture presentation of them. No, not the 1000. The other lights that came out, the light mat and stuff. It's a really good light. I just like, again, I've never been in a position where I needed them for what they are, and that might change. But knowing that they exist is great. Hi, my name is Sandra from Toronto. Hey, Sandra from Toronto. I run an Asian fusion meal plan company. Hey, if you're running a meal prep company, hit me up in the DMs, because I just did 2 weeks with Factor. We were talking about this earlier, but I am going to kind of go full meal prep company for most things, because your boy's busy. Maybe not booked, but he's busy. But that would be kind of cool to just at least see what you have in the shop. I actually haven't tried Asian fusion meal prep, so that'd be kind of cool. Also, thank you for watching the FX30 videos. I would be surprised if you got through all of them. There's a ton, but thank you for watching even one of them, because it means a lot. Top 5 hybrid, top 5 cinema, top 5 budget friendly. Okay, let me try this one. So I'm gonna try to write these down. Hybrids. It can't be of 2024, because I don't think that many hybrids came out, at least ones that I would consider on the list. So I'm definitely gonna go. I'm a big fan of the Lumix S5 II when the autofocus wants to behave, because it literally I can't make that up. S5 II, Nikon Z6 III, Sony A7C-R, because its cropped in mode is really nice, and also you get the ability to use a lot of the same things as the A7R5. People are gonna get mad at me if I don't mention a Canon camera. I think the R5 Mark II has a lot of upside, and the FX30, which has always been a solid camera, which technically is a hybrid camera, because it still has a megapixel count that is high enough for useful photography. What autofocus settings are you using on the S5 II? I don't know what they are. I think I put it on the one that tracks my face. No, I put like the spot autofocus. I put it like right to where my face is, and I made sure that it prioritizes my face. Clearly, it doesn't prioritize my face. Maybe it's like Canon, and their autofocus doesn't care about dark skinned people. But it's been pretty good this stream, but it happens. It happens sometimes. Top 5 cinema cameras. I mean, like the FX6, the Pixis, the Ursa 12K, although I haven't used it. I really want to try the Canon C400. And I want to try the Kinfinity cameras. Like I want to try like the LF 8K Kinfinity Mavo. I'm going to put that on the list, mostly because I want to put it into the universe that I want to try one day. I don't know if I'll ever buy one. I don't know if I'll ever use one full time, but like I want to give it a shot. Top 5 budget friendly. What's our budget? Are we saying like under 2K? Are we saying under 15? What's budget? Top 5 burritos. All of them. Plans to use the SP3s again soon. Yes, I think the hard part with the SP3 video and like stuff with it is that I had other projects that got moved, and the window and time when I had to bring them back is after the fact. So I kind of brought them back and I reached out and I said like, hey, um, I might want to make a follow up video later, hopefully on those projects. So um, more than likely in 2025, maybe somewhere in the middle of the year. My offer still stands. Yeah, you know what, Ben? If I'm in Utah again, which is probably likely, I might run that up and use it again. It's not far from Sony. Use them both for a week. The Lumix surprising. Yeah, man. Like on my FX3, I will say that like having an AI autofocusing system versus the regular, like just like the one that's on the FX3 and the S52X, they're not super different. Like even my FX3 sometimes just decides it doesn't want to be loyal and hunt other places. But I just find that like with Lumix, even when like the spot is like right there, like it's right there dead on, it'll just leave sometimes. If I ever come to AZ, hey, if Cam takes me to Arizona, we'll hit you up, Chris. Do you think 4K gas? Oh, do I think 4K has become the new standard? Um, I mean, yes and no. I mean, like in terms of cameras being able to output it, yes. But I would say in terms of TVs that could play it or phones that could play it, no. So, Brendan, when I use zone focus on the S52X, it actually performs the worst on my face. And it's hella frustrating. So that's why I'm like, let me just make the spot like super, super tiny. So that way you don't screw it up. It still screws it up. Sometimes it's not all the time, but it happens. Okay, I'm gonna try to answer. This is the last 6 minutes to ask questions because I'm gonna get off of this thing. It's like been off for 2.5 hours. But also these are gonna be more frequent. I think I'm gonna pick a day of the week that I'm gonna do live streams, and this is gonna be how we're gonna do things. Also, I moved my desk. Does this look cool? Let me know if this looks cool. Have you used the GH7 since your previous projects early in 2024? Newer thoughts on them? I have not had a chance to use the Lumix GH7 since No Good Legend. Um, I really wanted to, but I think what ends up happening sometimes is that I say yes to too many things, and then I have 3 projects and 8 cameras, and I could only use one at a time. So I decided that I'm going to be responsible and just like wait until I have the right thing for it. Oh yeah, don't forget to like the video. I mean, there's only a few of you guys in here. There's only been like no more than 20, 30 people here. But one, thanks for the super chats. That's been great. This is awesome. I didn't realize you could just do that. Just go on live and people give you money for talking. Actually I did know that, but whatever. But yeah, I think that's thank you for that. And also thank you for liking the stream. That's crazy. If you ever back out and go off in Cambridge, I'll take you for Toronto. Hey, Greg, I may have like I'm in Guelph all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, I have a retainer client that's in there. So if you guys, if I don't know if you might probably know this, but Blue Star Nutraceuticals, that used to sell at Body Systems on in the South End, the headquarters is there, and I shoot there all the time. Hey, Ben, thanks for tuning in for like 2.5 hours. It's a surprising amount of stamina. It's loads of fun. Thanks for the wisdom. Cognition, no problem. I guess if everyone else is leaving, I'll just kind of wrap things up as well. So I didn't get to mention what cameras I'm keeping in 2025 and which ones may leave my house. Maybe that'll be another video later on because now everybody's leaving. So we're going to leave on a cliffhanger. But thank you guys for tuning into the stream. I'm going to make this a lot more frequent. Sandra, I just saw your DM. I will probably answer it the second I get off of this. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Thanks to you for tuning in. Thank you a lot for the super chats and stuff. That's been really dope. But I'm going to try to do this maybe not every Tuesday, but maybe every Saturday or maybe every Thursday. Who knows? Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Happy New Year. Don't have a catchphrase, don't have a tagline, but a lot of things are happening literally within the next 30 days of 2025. So we're just going to have to tune into the channel and see those things then. Deuces. How do I turn this thing off? End stream. There you go.